This week's question is, we have human-in-the-loop approvals set up for sensitive agent actions, but nobody's thought through what context the human actually needs to make a good decision in 5 seconds. Half the time they just click approve because they don't know what they're looking at. How do you make that moment actually meaningful? The first thing I thought of when I read this question is another place where we're having issues with machine learning, which is self-driving cars. It's sort of that level 3 driving isn't actually helpful, because if you still have to be paying attention, and then when something goes wrong, you're not paying attention, right? And the first answer I wanted to give was like, well, you either need to have level 5 driving or level 1 driving. Like, either the car just needs to take you where you're going and you have no input, or there needs to be no assistance. But I thought about it some more. And I think there's something to that, but I want to give a more helpful answer than that, right? Because people getting to completely autonomous agents is still a ways off. The next thing I thought of was, I kind of want to dig into, like, why don't they know what they're looking at, right? Why is this going to someone who has no context? Why do they have to make the decision in 5 seconds, right? If we're getting speed improvements from the agent doing things, let's take more than 5 seconds to approve or deny actions. Let's make sure it's going to where it needs to go to a person who has context. And for that, we do have a very useful pattern to look at, right? Which is runbooks and pages. An extremely important thing coming to someone who needs to make a decision about it relatively quickly is something that is a problem we've solved, right? Incident response. So that's where I'd go to, really, is I'd go back to your practices that allowed you to develop your incident response and your run books, and see how you could apply that here, right? How do we get things routed to the right person? What steps does that person have available easily to them to be like, ooh, when this thing comes in, here are the steps I need to take, right? Checklist manifesto kind of thing. That's where I'd start. Hope that's helpful. Love to hear other people's ideas in the comments. Thanks.